a vast oversimplification because there are various breakers, fuses, that kind of thing that I've left out, but just for simplicity, we've got the electric hookup coming in, which goes through the breakers and supplies the existing 240 volt loads, and what that did supply was the LASO 1218, which is the battery charger part of the electroblock. And because this doesn't have a lithium profile, what I did was I cut that, and instead I took that feed and wired it into the MultiPlus. So then the MultiPlus can act as an inverter charger. When it's getting electric hookup, it can charge the Fogstar Drift Pro lithium battery. The battery still supplies the electroblock, which supplies the 12 volt loads. We've got a 100 watt solar panel, the stock 100 watt that was fitted, factory fitted on the van, via an MPPT controller, and that can also charge the battery. And when it's in inverting mode, the MultiPlus just supplies a single 13 amp socket. And we've been away for 4 weeks or so, and this has worked fine. We've got a small air fryer, we've got things like hair dryers, and a single socket. We've been okay. I can plug my laptop in to charge it whilst we're going along, that sort of thing. But I need to be able to power things like the microwave and the aircon. So instead, what I need to do is route the electric hookup feed direct into the MultiPlus. Cut that one, and then I need to feed the MultiPlus's output. Let's have another colour, let's do it in black. I need to feed the MultiPlus's output into where the electric hookup used to go, and the MultiPlus will pass through hookup. So if we're on hookup, goes through the MultiPlus, back in, everything gets powered off 240 volts. If we're not on hookup, then the MultiPlus is inverting, everything gets powered off the battery. The MultiPlus, if we're on hookup, can charge the battery, and via the electroblock, all of the 12 volt side of the van is powered. Now we need to be careful because this is a 1600, so I need to make sure that if we're not on hookup, that, for example, the fridge is set to gas or 12 volt. It's not, we don't want it automatically choosing 240 volts, and we also need to make sure that we don't use more than one appliance at a time, so air fryer, the microwave, or the aircon. But what I want to do is I just want to test that this is going to work before I change these connections around, because redoing those connections and getting them across to the MultiPlus could be complex because I've got to run more mains cables through the inside of the van. So just to make sure that everything's going to be okay, I'm going to just take the existing output and wire it into there and disconnect this input to make sure that we don't, the MultiPlus isn't trying to charge itself. So that's what I'm going to do next. First thing I need to do is disconnect this. This is the incoming mains feed that used to go to the electroblock, and I've wired in this plug that now takes it to the MultiPlus. So by disconnecting this, once I feed the MultiPlus output into the external hookup socket, it won't be trying to charge itself. Perpetual. Next I've got this, which is a UK mains to standard commando socket, 16 amp, and this is at present, this is the only output from the MultiPlus. So then I can plug my hookup lead into there. Then I can take the other end of my hookup lead, plug it into the van, and the van is now being completely supplied by the MultiPlus inverter. Just to prove that, here's my main socket tester. Plug that in, 3 lights, shows me we've got mains in the back of the van, so everything's being powered via the MultiPlus inverter off the lithium battery. So now I can measure the parasitic load on the inverter. I can see that our AC loads are 0, but the leisure battery is still discharging at a rate of 30 watts minus, well, 2.2 amps, so 30 watts. So now I can start turning things on. So that's taking 1.2 kilowatts, and yeah, MultiPlus inverter seems quite happy. This is an air fryer. That's taking a kilowatt. It's a low wattage air fryer, just a little one. This is a small travel iron. Again, that's taking a kilowatt, and the fans have come on in the MultiPlus now. No temperature rise on the cables, so yeah, happy with that. Now with no load, it's still discharging at 60 watts, so that's the additional load from the fans in the MultiPlus. I'll turn the aircon on. Lastly, this will be the fridge on mains. Not something we're likely to do, run the fridge on mains off the inverter. If we're off grid, then we'll probably be using gas, unless we're getting loads of solar and we need to dump the load somewhere, in which case putting the fridge onto mains is quite a good option. So that's drawing, what, 18.8 amps, 250 watts off the leisure battery. So yeah, you know, fridge doesn't take that much. As a final test, I've turned all the lights on, so that's running off the leisure battery, but not there's no inverted load. So there we are. You know, provided we're frugal and don't try and do any ironing whilst we're using the air fryer, we should be good.